Welcome, future CPAs. Ready to put on your detective hat? Today, we are cracking the case of direct materials variances. Seriously, this is a huge topic for the LECPA. And by the end of this, you're not just going to know it, you're going to get it in a way that actually sticks. Let's do this.
Okay, so let's jump right into a mystery. Picture this. You're looking at the numbers and bam, you see you're over budget on materials by $700. In accounting speak, we call this a $700 unfavorable spending variance. Now, this is our first clue, but honestly, it's a bit of a messy one. It just tells us there's a problem. So who do we bring in for questioning first? The person who bought the stuff or the team that used it on the production line? That's what we're here to figure out.
So here's our game plan for today's investigation. We're going to break down that first clue, grab our detective toolkit, interrogate our two main suspects, and solve this whole materials mystery. And hey, make sure you stick around for the end, because that LECPA power-up section, it is pure gold for your review.
All right, let's start the investigation. The only piece of evidence we have right now is that $700 overspending. So it's time to dust for prints. What is this number really telling us? And maybe more importantly, what is it hiding?
You see, the spending variance is really just the total difference. It's our starting point. It's the smoke, but it doesn't tell us where the fire is. Do we have a problem because we paid too much for each pound of material? Or was the problem that we were just wasteful and used way too many pounds? This one number just doesn't tell the whole story.
To get to the bottom of this, every good cost detective needs a toolkit. You know, you can't solve a case with just one clue. We need a solid framework to break this problem down into manageable leads that we can actually follow. And here is our secret weapon. Our strategy is to divide and conquer. We take that big, confusing spending variance, and we split it. We break it down into two totally separate investigations. One lead is going to follow the money. That's the price we paid. And the other lead follows the evidence from the factory floor. That's the quantity we used.
And this right here is the absolute key. You have to investigate these two things separately. By isolating the price problem from the quantity problem, we can finally pinpoint exactly what went wrong, and, just as important, who is responsible. That is the secret to variance analysis.
Okay, let's follow our first lead. We're following the money trail. The question we're asking is simple. Did we stick to the budget when we actually went out and bought the raw materials?
So the materials price variance, it just answers one super simple question. Did we pay more or did we pay less for our stuff than we planned to? That's it. It is all about the price tag.
Now, don't let the formula intimidate you. Look at the logic here. We're just taking the difference between the actual price and the standard price, right? And we multiply it by the actual quantity that we purchased. This whole thing is designed specifically to isolate the price factor. We're totally ignoring, just for a moment, whether we use those materials efficiently or not.
So who do we put in the interrogation room for this one? Our prime suspect is the purchasing manager. Their whole job is to get materials at that standard budgeted price. So if there's an unfavorable variance, it could be for a few reasons. Maybe they failed to negotiate a good discount. Maybe they had to place a rush order from a pricier supplier, or hey, maybe market prices just went through the roof.
All right, one suspect questioned. Time to move on to our second lead. We've analyzed the price, so now let's head down to the production floor and see how those materials were actually used.
Now, this variance asks a totally different question. It's not about price anymore. It's about efficiency. Were we efficient or were we wasteful? Based on how many finished goods we made, did we use the amount of material we were supposed to use? Or did a bunch of it end up in the scrap bin?
And the logic here is so critical. We compare the actual quantity we used to the standard quantity that should have been used. And then, and this is the important part, we multiply that difference by the standard price. Why do we do that? It's crucial because it makes sure we are only measuring efficiency. We're not letting any overspending from the purchasing manager cloud our judgment here.
Our prime suspect for this variance? The production manager. They are responsible for everything that happens on that factory floor. An unfavorable quantity variance could be caused by anything from, poorly trained workers creating a lot of scrap, to faulty machines, or even just sloppy supervision. Okay, so we've investigated both leads, we've questioned both managers. Now it is time to put all the pieces together, connect the dots, and solve this case. And let me tell you, there is a plot twist.
And here it is. Here's the big twist. You can't just look at these two variances in their own little bubbles. The actions of the purchasing manager and the production manager are so deeply connected. What looks like a win for one manager can actually be a total disaster for the other.
I mean, this is the classic scenario, right? The purchasing manager comes in, gets a high five from everyone for a favorable price variance because they bought some super cheap, low-quality materials. But then, you go to the production floor, and it's a nightmare. Those cheap materials are breaking, they're causing massive waste, and that leads to a huge, unfavorable quantity variance that totally wipes out any savings from the cheap price, and then some.
All right, you've made it. You've earned it. Here comes the LECPA power-up. This is the part you need to screenshot, you need to memorize, you need to lock into your brain. These are the study hacks that are going to make this topic stick for good.
Let's lock in these formulas. For price variance, you're isolating the price difference. Just think, actual quantity times the difference in price. For quantity variance, you're isolating the usage difference, so standard price times the difference in quantity. Just remember, price is about cost, quantity is about efficiency. Go ahead, screenshot this now.
Okay, listen up, because this is a total pro-level tip. It shows up as a trick question on exams all the time. The price variance is calculated based on the materials purchased as soon as they're bought. But the quantity variance, that's calculated later, based on the materials actually used in production. This system holds the purchasing manager immediately responsible for their decisions. You absolutely have to know this distinction. And here it is, your ultimate one-page study guide for direct materials variances. It has everything: the variance type, the short formula, the manager who's on the hook, and the most common reasons things go wrong. Burn this into your memory. This is everything you need in one clean table.
And that's a wrap on our investigation. We have officially cracked the case. But I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Just because a variance is labeled favorable doesn't automatically mean it's a good thing for the company. You have to analyze the why and see the bigger picture. And that's the difference between just being a calculator and being a true analyst. And that's exactly what you need to be for the LECPA and for your entire career. Good luck with your review.